back to the Real Life Entrepreneur Podcast. It's been fun times. Good seeing you again. Welcome back to another episode. Let's get it started. Tonight, obviously you know everything about this podcast and what we're really about. We're here to either convince you to be an entrepreneur or convince you that this isn't for you. So tonight I have some amazing guests, and we're gonna get into it at a later time. All right, so let's talk a little bit about me. So this is another episode where I think each episode what I'll end up doing is kind of giving you a little bit more about me and some of my background. So tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about how I got into the tax game. This is a crazy story, and I have to get it off right now. Even though I had it slated for towards the end of the show, I think now's a really perfect time for me to kind of get into that story. So I remember the first time, I was in college, I was going to school for marketing, and a friend of mine, his family had that tax game on lock. They had about 18 offices at the time. And, I was going to school for accounting anyway, so I was like, hey, let's link up. My boy, he wasn't moving fast enough, so I was like, all right, well, let me just go take a tax class at one of the bigger tax companies, right? You probably know their name. So I went there, took a class, passed the class, did whatever I needed to do, finally learned how to do taxes. So then I called my boy and I'm like, hey, I passed the test. It's time for me to, let's link up. Let me work with you. So anyway, he sold me this big dream about what we could do potentially in the future. If they're already on 18, that means, in the next 2 or 3 years, I'd be able to get, a few more offices of my own. So I was like, all right, no problem. Let's rock and roll. Anyway, I get there and he puts me with this manager. And for whatever reason, she was just giving me a hard time. And I'm a hustler. Like, I go get it. If I got to stand on the corner, whatever I got to do, I'm going to do what I got to do to make sure that I'm successful. But I don't think she believed in me that much. And so, I think that was right around the time when I was also having my second child. And, if you don't know anything about me, one thing you should know is that I am an Army veteran. And the time when I was having my first child, I was actually stationed overseas. And so I missed my baby's birth by 3 months. So coming back and, how it relates to this story, my wife at the time, she's pregnant again. And I wasn't going to miss one day, not one appointment, not one heartbeat, nothing. So anyway, I ended up going, and she, I had to make it to a couple of appointments. She was like, oh, if you go, just don't come back. I've had enough, that kind of thing. So I went outside. Called my wife at the time. We had some good savings. I technically didn't even really need to work at the time. I said, hey, listen, what do you think I should do? And, she rocks with me. So she's like, listen, you don't really need that. Just grab all your stuff and go. So the mistake that manager made at the time was, in order to get in with that company, you had to sign a lot of NDAs. Where, and non-competes. So you couldn't compete, you couldn't go work, you had to wait a year or two. I had signed all those documents when I first got on board with them. Well, anyway, I went to the office and I was like, hey, listen. She said, I'm just gonna rock and roll, I'm gonna hit it. Today's my last day, no big deal. She had almost a little smirk. But before, I was like, cool, it wasn't a big deal to me. Even though I really wanted to rock with my boy and really build something, because I really saw the numbers and I saw the future and how this thing could really, really blow up. So I was like, hey, let me get my paper, let me get my stuff. And she ends up going into my, they had an employee packet at the time. This was when all my, my NDAs, my non-competes, everything she had at the time. And she just ended up giving it to me, here. But it wasn't out of I think it was just a mistake. She should have kept all of that. And was like, all right, I'll catch you later, right? Anyway, fast forward, I get out of there. Same day, I get on the phone with my boy, Stu. Yo, Stu, I need a place to work. And at this time, it was, and I remember this story like yesterday. It was February 4th, I called him. And it was February 4th, I called him. 2 days later, he had brought me to another friend of his that had a tax business down in Hollywood. This is Hollywood, Florida, by the way. We go down. I talked to this boy. You know, he puts the play together real lovely. Yo, this is my boy. He's on his shit. Like, he knows what he's doing. Rock with him. So I go down. I link up with this guy, and we're talking. And he's like, yo, listen, it's late in the tax season. It's like February 6th, literally February 6th. And in the tax business, you got to know, if you start in February 6th, you're way behind the curve. So technically, you need to start literally working maybe 2 months before the end of the last year, right? So you're looking at October, November, so you can build up your clientele, because tax season, even though a lot of people don't know it, tax season in the industry, it actually starts January 1st, because that's the day that you can actually take appointments. You can do all those people who are self-employed, all of that stuff. So back to the story now. He's like, listen, I have an office. I'm gonna pay you. I think he paid me like 70%. I mean, and that's a huge amount. So of the revenue that I bring in, he would pay me like 70%. And I was like, 70%? I mean, damn, okay. So I get in, he has an empty office. The office is not really rocking and rolling like that. So I was like, all right. So I get in, I'm on my phone. People kind of already knew I was gonna start doing taxes. And I had a lot of people that really rock with me. So I think that's the blessing that I really had, is I really had a lot of people rocking with me and believing that I could get it done. So when I went in, I had easily 40 or 50 people. Just, I had to reach out to them. They found out this is what I'm doing, and then they wanted to rock with me, right? Anyway, long story short, I'm over there. I see them doing their thing, and they're hustling. They're doing all types of wild shit over there. And something was like, all right, let me just get through this. So I'm there, I'm doing it. I think, towards the end of the month, I'm probably at about 30, 40 people. And we get right into March. My other homeboy now, he doesn't really, at that time, he wasn't really working, right? So I saw an opportunity. I was like, hey, listen, I had learned the script from these other folks. I know exactly what to say. Let me teach you the script, and I'm gonna put you like at the grocery store. I remember it was like a neighbor's supermarket, and it was literally like not even a block down the street. So I would put him there. I taught him the script, everything, and he would bring me like 5 a day. So he was making like 500 a day, and I was making like, oh my God, what is that? Maybe 2,400, 2,300, give or take a day. So he was bringing me, he was bringing them, I was knocking them down. He was bringing them, I was knocking them down. Whenever I got slow, I joined him. So he would be over there, and there was a Walgreens across the street. So I'm at the Walgreens, getting it. So at the end of the season, I ended up doing very well, even though I started extremely late. Matter of fact, shout out to my boy G, he knows what it is. In any case, fast forward, now I'm here today. The most tax offices I've had, I believe it was 7 at one time, but now, things have changed. So now we have, instead of having more locations, just because that's more overhead, now we have less overhead and more tax preparers. So now we make more, we're pushing towards about 100 tax preparers right now. And the crazy part is, all of it started because of my one homeboy that I could call when things weren't going right with the first situation. So I'm going to introduce you to him, and we'll get an opportunity to talk to him and really chop it up and see what it's worth. All right, so tonight's episode is actually sponsored by one of my companies. So I told you I'm a serial entrepreneur. I own a couple of businesses. I am going to bring the head of that company to you tonight to have some conversations. So this episode is brought to you by Forever Good Credit. They do individual credit repair. They do business credit building and funding. And now they've even gotten into the space where they can lend money if you have Bitcoin or Ethereum. So they'll do secured loans, and they'll be able to get you tons of money if that's what you're into. So it gives me a lot of pride and pleasure to bring to you Forever Good Credit, and I just want to thank them for just being who they truly are. All right, so I promised y'all that I would have very special guests coming on tonight. I have one of the most amazing people that I know. I'm so fortunate for him to be a partner of mine that's helping me grow and control and run and scale and everything that it has to do with our business. So tonight I want to introduce y'all to Dexter. Dexter is going to give you his first and last name, and he's going to talk a little bit by himself. Dex, welcome. I appreciate you being on the show.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
matter of fact, instead of me telling everybody about you, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about yourself?
All right. Well, I'm Dexter Lewis. The company is Forever Good Credit. A little background on me. I started doing real estate in 2005, and that led to, once you're a realtor, everyone thinks you know how to get the mortgage done. So you end up sending your clients to a mortgage broker to get pre-approved. And then if they can't get pre-approved, they start sending your client to credit repair. So that's how I actually started learning the whole industry and the total process of getting the client from start to finish in the housing process of as far as getting mortgages closed. So been doing credit repair for a while now. I've been with Forever Good Credit a couple of years. Forever Good Credit is a national credit repair company. We've been working with over 50 different tax offices nationwide. We work with realtors, mortgage brokers, car dealerships, and companies similar to actually bring in the base of the client. We're actually located locally in downtown Fort Lauderdale. You can find us on YouTube, all over the web, just trying to do our thing, grow as a smaller company and scale to becoming one of the largest credit repair companies. We offer a lot of different services. Business credit building. A lot of folks don't realize that there's business bureaus. You want to make sure a lot of your debt is tied directly to your business and not on your personal. And then, of course, funding. Everyone wants to get money to start a business. First thing you have to do is actually have a business. You have to take time to get your LLC. You have to take time to get your business bank account. You have to take time to do the basics. And then we can talk about getting money for a business. Not just, I have an idea and I'd like some money. But those are things that we'll touch on.
Yeah, as we go through. No, all right, so that's cool. So I happen to know a little bit about this industry, which is great, because I think we'll make the perfect team in what we want to talk about and get through to everybody tonight, right? Mm-hmm. What I wanted to talk about, and so you touched on a lot just in that introductory period, right? A lot. So we're going to try to cover it a little bit more in detail, right? And matter of fact, using the word detail, tell us about, when business owners, they want to get funding. Tell us about how detailed they have to be in terms of having some of the stuff match up. What do they have to have match up? Those types of things. Talk to us about that.
Well, when it comes to funding, you actually have to be doing some type of business. Your business has to be credible. When they're lending you money, they want to make sure you have a website that you can get at GoDaddy.com. They want to make sure you have a business phone number. They want to make sure you have a business address. They want to make sure that you are a legit company. Once you're a legit company, then they'll look into, do you have your business account? How much money is coming in? Did you do your taxes? And when you're doing your taxes, you can't claim a loss every year. That's something that you need to talk to with your tax preparer and say, hey, I'm looking to get funding in the future. So if you made $100,000, you don't want to put a loss every single year, because you're not going to be able to get the funding.
No.
So it's these little details that you have to take care of so you get funding. If they see you have a cash flow of $10,000 a month, they'll look into it and say, hey, we can give them $50,000 because they can afford the $500 a month payment that comes with that.
Right.
So it's just about getting your paperwork together and actually using a professional. Using a professional is very important. You may be a great chef, you may be a great hair designer, you may be a great attorney, but you definitely want to work with professionals, someone that knows about business credit, someone that knows about taxes. You don't want to try to do everything yourself. That's how it goes wrong.
Right. No, I totally agree. I actually wanted to piggyback on, some of the things that you were saying, because I think this podcast is really here for people to really know like the real deal, right? And you covered a lot in that section, and it's just more and more. And as you add on, now I'm thinking about different things that I want you to touch on, right? But what I will do is I want to piggyback a little bit off of some of the things that you're saying. So just for people who are really just starting out.
Okay.
It's important for them, you say, to have a business phone, right? So a business phone number, but that's not a cell phone. That's not a T-Mobile phone number. It's one of those entities that will provide a phone number. So you probably want to check into Vonage. You might want to look into Ring Central. You really want to have a business phone number. Matter of fact, you want to make sure that, if you file, first of all, if you're going after securing real business funding, you probably don't want to just come in there doing something like a Schedule C, which is what most sole proprietors do, right? You really have to have your business formed. So you want to make sure that you have your LLC put together. You want to make sure that you know what your election is. So is it going to be an S Corp? Is it going to be an S election? Or is it going to be a C Corp, right? Whatever it is, you need to determine that. And you need to file the correct paperwork, right? And what we'll do is we'll make sure that we have some links where you can go and you can know exactly what to fill out, what forms you need, who to contact to get all these things done. But we're just saying all of this to say that everything has to match up and it has to be a business. So for example, you brought up, they have to have a business address. Well, your business address can't be your home.
Correct.
It literally has to be, when it comes to the funding industry and what these people are looking for is they're making sure that you're not operating some mom and pop operation outside of your home. They want to make sure that you have a real physical business address, a physical phone number. They want to make sure that your state filing matches up to exactly what your address is, your phone number, all that stuff. So these are just some of the details that you really have to, be on top of to get done, right? Now, I wanted to talk to you. You deal with a lot of business owners who come to you and they look for funding, right? Tell us about some of the good things and some of the bad things when dealing with some of those customers. Any stories you could share with us, anything like that?
Well, when it comes to funding, everyone wants it. Everyone thinks that they're going to get it. But what it really comes down to is your paperwork.
Right.
All right, we're going to need for you to fill the intake form just to get the basics of what you're really doing. Then your last 2 years of income taxes. Then we're going to need some bank statements. Now, if you're doing a cash business and you're not guiding the money through your bank accounts, then the companies won't be able to see that. You're just kind of giving them your word. But if they're able to pull up your Bank of America statement, for instance, and it's showing the cash flow, then they know you'll have the ability to pay back. When it comes to funding, it's all about your ability. It's not so much on the credit. They want to make sure that you're going to be able to pay this money back.
Right.
Things are unpredictable. We're living in COVID right now. No one saw that coming. But these companies, they have to think about all risk factors while loaning you money.
Right. And I wanted to also touch on that too. So when it comes to having a business and owning a business, you're looking at the 3 business credit bureau, right? You're looking at Equifax business, you're looking at Experian business, and then you're looking at Dun & Bradstreet, right? And everybody always hears about, you should have your what do they call it? DUNS number. You should have your DUNS number, right? Which is obviously just a shorter version of Dun & Bradstreet, right? So everybody wants your DUNS number. So one quick tip is if you go to nav.com, you actually can get all 3 of those in one place. You set up an account, you're able to log in, you can see what your scores are. So your business credit score is separate from your individual credit score. So you're looking at your IntelliScore and you're looking at your DUNS, your Paydex score. So your Paydex score goes anywhere from 1 to 100, same does your IntelliScore. A lot of businesses don't know about this. They don't know how to really raise and build up those accounts so they can become fundable. And that's what you do at Forever Good Credit, right?
Correct.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about some of your day-to-day processes, the intake, what you do at work on a day-to-day basis, and how do you deal with the clients and so forth.
All right. So day-to-day, I'd have to say the majority of day-to-day is personal credit repair. Our system is very automated. As soon as a client, maybe they find it on Facebook, Instagram, once they input their information, it comes directly into the system. They get an automatic generated email. That email has a calendar link that they can also schedule to speak with a credit specialist. And it also gives them the information and lets them know what credit repair is. Credit repair is about disputing negative items, incorrect items, inquiries, collections. It lets them know exactly what we're going to do for them. We have an automated, I don't want to say he's a meme. We have an automated cartoon that's on forevergoodcredit.com.
Or like a chat box. If you go to Forever Good Credit, there'll be a chat box. It'll be an automated meme that's kind of responding to some of the questions that you may or may not have. And generally, they're just guiding you to get someone to speak with you if it's outside of office hours the next day.
Correct. And give you some information, and also let you know what we'll need. Your initial documents, your ID, your social. These things aren't required by us. They're required by the credit bureaus to prove that individual really wants to get these items disputed. So we would go ahead and do that. The client may send in the documents. We set up a credit analysis, which is basically me going over their individual credit report and going over their individual items. No one is exactly the same.
Right.
You know, one person might owe Capital One $10,000 and the second person might owe Capital One $10,000. But this one might be in 2012 and this guy's in 2021.
Right.
2012 is a long time ago. That's easier to get removed.
Right.
2021, we'll work with it.
And just to be clear, you're getting things removed because of some type of mistake that was made that you caught that you can use to get it off of their credit.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
From there, of course, you have your funding clients that come in. They're looking for certain amounts of money, and we're looking at their documents before we even send that file over to the lending department. When it comes to business credit, that's more detailed.
Right.
That client's investing money, but the return on investment is what it's all about, and we go through those things specifically.
Okay. So one thing I also wanted to grab too while you were talking, because every time you talk, I always pick up some extra, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to talk about is how do you recognize and choose what kind of credit repair company to deal with? So in South Florida here, I know for sure there are people who charge people upfront to do their credit repair, and they charge a god-awful amount of money. Well, if that's any one of the cases that you're coming into, and I'm talking about maybe just on the personal side, then you really have to be wary about the company that you work with. There's rules and there's laws and there's a lot of things that are here to protect the consumer when it comes to credit repair. So credit repair is a really high risk industry just because of the amount of complaints, right? So my advice is if a company comes to you and they say, hey, we're gonna charge you $2,500, we're gonna fix your credit and it's gonna be done in the next 2 days, don't fall for that. Don't fall for the okie doke, right? It's time consuming, it's very meticulous, and it's detail oriented. And the reason why people reach out to a credit repair company is because they know that it's going to be a detailed and task. It's so detail oriented that you're really more just paying for convenience than anything else, right?
Correct.
You're just having someone else do the work that you technically could do yourself. So be mindful of that. There's rules and laws saying that you can't charge someone up front for actual credit repair, which is different from credit business building, which is different from a setup fee. They can't charge you the entire amount. So that's why a lot of credit repair companies, they'll have where you're paying a setup fee, they're doing the work, and then you're paying on a monthly basis while they continue to do the work. Now there are some companies that will do like 2 or 3 lines and then they try to stretch that out, but Forever Good Credit, we don't do that there, right?
No, we go ahead and dispute all items to get you that initial boost, and then we reinvestigate. So the first round we investigate, we go after all items. Now if you have 15, 20 items, we're not going to go after all 15, 20 items at the same time, because then it's going to say this 20 that's good is that belongs to me.
But you're only challenging the negative
Correct.
items, right? You're not challenging all of it. So anything that's positive that's affecting them in a good way, you're not going to try to have that removed.
No.
Right?
And once again, everything is individualized. We go through line item by line item. We're giving you also credit education. They give you a credit report and a credit score. Most people have no idea how to read a credit report. They have no idea that 10% is new credit. 10% of your score is different types of credit. 35% is utilization rate.
Right.
Utilization rate is when you have a $5,000 credit card and you're using $4,500.
Right.
That shouldn't be the case. You should only be using 30% of that card.
Right. And I like where you say 30%, but for me, what I always tell people who I rock with it, I tell them 20.
Correct.
Because 20 gonna keep me in the green every single time. So if I have a $5,000 credit card, in my head, I only can use $1,000 at any given time. Right, and usually that, as long as you're making your consistent payments with keeping it within that range, then you're doing really, really good.
Correct. And also, a big part of credit is building your credit. Your light bill, your water bill, these monthly bills, groceries, gas. You should try to put those bills on a different credit card and pay them on time monthly. Right. Even if you're getting 1 point per credit card, let's call that 5 points a month. 5 times 12 is 60 additional points.
Right.
So you have to build. So these are the things and the education that we give clients that are in the actual credit repair.
No, I love it a lot. All right, so I actually kind of wanted to touch on a couple of things, and I'm like the comedian. You know this comedian Dion Cole, and you know how he gets on stage. And he always has his notes with him, right? So if you ever see me with my phone and I'm looking at my phone, it's because I have notes. I think Dion is smart, though. I don't think he really needs to write notes. I think he's just doing it as a joke, right? But because of that, so I actually wanted to touch on just a couple of things. Being with Forever Good Credit isn't always easy, right? So I want you to talk to me a little bit about being determined and how you can't give up. You got to continue to strive forward, and because you've been good, bad, up, down. What are some of the things that you want to tell someone about just being determined and never quitting and never giving up?
So what I would say is you have your peaks and valleys in business. During tax season, we're doing very well because of some things that we've put in place that bring in a lot of clients. Right. But then outside of tax season, and that has its challenges also, because you have a lot of conversations. It's repetitive.
Right.
So you have those highs, but then you also have in between tax season, summer, going into the new year when people are saving their money, and you have to really get that grind in, make those calls, reach out to those past clients to bring in that cash flow to sustain the business.
Right.
So for sure. It's not always going to be all fun and games.
Right.
Sometimes people may see it looks good on social media. I'm smiling, but this may be the money I made last month.
Right.
Might not be this month's money.
Right.
So you always have to kind of budget and know your industry.
Right. And you're leading into kind of one of the things that I was actually going to touch on next, which is you're not going to be successful 100% of the times. Think about how many clients that you talk to on a day-to-day basis, but then how many you actually close.
Correct.
Right? And so, in business overall, you're going to fail a lot. So, part of the thing that we're striving to do here with this podcast is we want to give you the real deal. So you're going to decide for yourself is, well, hey, do I want to stick to it? Or do I just want to continue and work my job and try to retire at this job, or, those types of things. So for us, it's, we got to let you know that you're going to fail. And sales is extremely tough, right? Jumping into sales, you think you're going to win, you feel good, you go in, the customer's saying all the right things. But most of the customers can tell you the right things all the time, and they don't have any money in the bank account. So no matter what they tell you, you can't close because they don't even have the money to close.
That's correct.
Right? And those are the things that you don't know for sure. They're not disclosing that. And then there's other factors, right? The easiest way for them to say no is, the best one I know is, let me talk to my wife. They always put it on my wife, let me go talk to my wife. Once I hear that, nah. That's why a lot of the, how you'll get those trips to Orlando, and they'll say, hey, are you married? Well, they're asking you that for a reason, because they want to make sure that you're bringing your wife, so they take away that excuse.
Correct. You
can't say, let me talk to your wife, because she's right there with you.
Correct.
So now both of y'all are going to be under some pressure to close that deal. Yeah. That's how they get down. So, it's just saying all of that to say, it's challenging because it is a sales-driven industry. But at the end of the day, we try to find a balance between sales and service. and service is equally as difficult, just because at times you may have a tough customers. Tell us a little bit about like a challenging customer that you've had to deal with and you end up like overcoming that situation.
Well, first I want to talk a little bit about service.
Okay.
Once the client is in the actual program and the letters go out, we let them know the time frame. But clients, of course, it comes across their mind. They're in bed and they're gonna give you a call. They're gonna send a text message. So keep in mind, 9 to 5,
right,
that this is something that you'll get that call at 8 or 9. You're technically done.
Right.
But
because people want to get out by 6. They think 6 o'clock is done.
Yeah, it's not done. You may just answer that phone because they've called 2 or 3 times. They know the hours are 10 to 7, but they're thinking about at 8 o'clock, they're going to make the call. If they call 2 or 3 times, you're going to answer it, give them the information. Now, the truth is, forevergoodcredit.com, they can log in as a client. They can log in, they can see exactly when their letters went out.
Specifically that we worked on to make sure that we weren't getting those overwhelming calls.
They can know exactly when their 30 day, when their 45th day, they know these things. They can send an email to info@forevergoodcredit. They can call or text the 800 number. But folks work. They work 9 to 5. They get home at 6.
Right.
They're gonna call you when they get ready.
Right.
So you have to keep that in mind. When you work a 9 to 5, you put that file down, you head out, and that's for tomorrow.
It's tomorrow's
right. That's for tomorrow. Being an entrepreneur, operating a business, sometimes you're just watching a commercial and it dawns on you, man, I didn't get this done.
Right. Yeah,
right.
That happens so many times.
So that's a big part of it. You have to think about these things. Now, when it comes to the service, automation is huge. As soon as you get in the system, you're getting an automatic email that has your login. And we keep it simple here at Forever Good Credit. Your login will always be your email address, your last name, and the password will be your last.
Don't give all of that. You might be telling somebody else using it.
It's pretty key.
Right. It's easy.
It's easy. User friendly.
Right.
So you're always able to log in. You're getting the calls, every 15 days we're reaching out to make sure you know where you're at. You can text message. And basically, it's just about getting the results, going over the next stage, and moving forward.
I dig it. Give us a story though. So I want to hear a story about...
A story. 2
stories.
So...
Real quick. The worst customer you ever dealt with and the best customer you ever dealt with.
Might have been one and the same.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And she knows that. I told it to her.
Oh, well, don't call her name tonight.
well, she knows it. She knows it. And she just actually sent us a client who's a police officer this week.
Yeah.
So in March...
don't call no names. So
I won't call her name. So in March... She gave a phone call. She was referred by a realtor.
Okay.
She started out with a 540 credit score, and she was looking to get to a 640. A 640 is what you need to qualify for a first-time home buyer program. So that was her goal, but she said she worked with a different company. That company was trash. Credit repair is trash. She really didn't want to do it.
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool. But then she's calling my phone at like 7:30 back to back, and I'm on I-95, and I'm like, hello? And she's asking me more questions.
Right.
Now they have me on the phone.
Because
speaker.
You give that personal touch.
Correct.
You're not just directing them to the site.
Even though I didn't think it was a sale, I was just like, this realtor entrusted me with their client.
Right.
I'm gonna provide that good service.
Absolutely.
So I don't think this lady's gonna call me. No problem. I'm fine with it. She calls me back. She has looked into the company. She sees where we're located. We're credible. Right. Because she just decides to go with us. She went from and she was hard-nosed about it. Yeah. She went from a 540 to a 600, and this was in March. Now she's over a 700.
Nice.
But she gave me a hard time. Right. But since then, she's referred 2 people to us. Okay. So that customer's kind of my favorite just because of the hard time she gave me. Okay. And now she's giving the referrals.
Right. And it's so dope because you can easily see the correlation between service that you provide and how that really translates into sales, which is how you run and operate your business, right? That's how you make a living. That's how you take care of your family, right? So it's almost like the better your skills are at providing excellent service, that really translates into real dollars.
Correct.
So if I'm looking at a business and I'm realizing that I'm losing customers, then what's my biggest problem? It's probably my service, right? So that's really big. And hopefully, she was able to get the first time home buyer and kind of get that whole situation.
Yeah, she's ready to rock. She's ready to rock. During the time, she's actually picked up a position as an assistant principal.
Okay.
And that was also key because they do credit checks.
Right.
So she was actually over the 600.
Right. Where if they had done that before, she
Correct.
would have been
Correct.
Like, oh, nah.
So she didn't know that was coming, but that was also a great part. And we love the clients that actually text us when there's a success story.
Right.
Not just when there's complaints, but when we're doing a great job.
And I gotta imagine though that the challenge with credit repair though is like most people not gonna come holler at you unless they're going through something that need it done right now.
Correct.
But the credit repair process itself takes several months.
Correct.
Right. So that's how do you even how do you deal with someone who I need an 800 right now? Like they have 500, they need an 800 right now. Like what do you tell those customers or kind of help to kind of ease that burden and then let them know that hey, this is the actual process?
So first thing I always tell them is, did you ruin your credit in 30 days?
Oh, jeez. You gave it to them harsh.
I give it to them harsh, right? That didn't just happen in 30 days.
Right.
They didn't report you late until 30 days. They didn't report you 60 days until 60 days.
Right.
So you have to give a certain amount of time. Now, I explained the whole process. Your letters are going out on this date. They're going to 3 different bureaus. So that's going to take time. You know, Amazon has tons of packages in the mail.
Of course.
So the mail takes a little longer. Then the bureaus have a certain amount of time to review. If they're only reviewing with 3 companies, if you only have 3 negative items, they're contacting those 3 companies and they're waiting for a response.
Right.
If you have 10 negative items, that's 10 people they have to electronically go back and forth with. So I explained that just because you started with your partner has 3, you have 10.
Right.
It may take a different amount of time.
Gotcha.
Right? Gotcha. Your partners is from 10 years ago.
So you deal with couples and individuals?
Correct.
Okay. Right.
So it's just about just giving them the realistic.
Okay.
What we do is once we do the credit analysis, we're using an actual code sheet. So I'm making codes as I go over with the client, their situation. And then when it goes to processing uses that code sheet to generate the actual credit repair letters.
Okay. All right. So, I'm kind of really getting a real detailed understanding of what it is that you actually do. And I love that. And it seems like you don't get many days off. I know you like football.
Yes.
So at least take the Sundays. Hopefully you're not doing too much on the Sundays, right? But so now we're kind of I think we're towards the end because I think you guys got a lot of information and there's so much more. But if you ever want to reach out to Dexter, you can always hit up forevergoodcredit.com. They're on Instagram at forevergoodcredit. They're on Facebook at forevergoodcredit. So literally they're all over social media. You can get in contact with them. You can call the phone number. You can literally go to the website. And usually we prefer to deal with our customers hand to hand, face to face. But before we end, is there anything else that you'd like anyone to know, or just anything that you felt like we left unsaid? Or
well, when it comes to business credit, it's a little bit longer process. Okay. So that's something we're gonna pick up in another episode.
Okay, so that'd be dope. We could definitely run another episode and we could talk more about business credit building more so than just the individual portion. Yes. I feel like we spend a lot of time on that, and that business credit building is also one of our. It's I don't want to say a higher end product, but it's our product that actually costs the most, but it's only because the kind of work that's involved in getting you to where we need you to get to, right? But I know you guys do excellent work, and like I said, if you have a business and you want to reach out to Forever Good Credit. If you're looking for a loan based on cryptocurrency, specifically Ethereum or Bitcoin, then forevergoodcredit.com and Forever Good Credit on all your social media sites. So with that being said, I appreciate you coming through, chopping it up with us.
Yeah.
And we gonna make sure we take care of these people. Yeah.
Will do.
All right. So with that being said, catch y'all next time.